Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. Welcome. This is Golden Speakers. We're here on a Tuesday evening. Usually starting between our meetings are 7:45 to 9. We do have a speech this evening, and of course we'll have table topics. Looks like we're getting a word up on the day for the day there. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Let's hear it for our mission. Very good. We meet every Tuesday, 7:45 to 9:15 here in the Hy-Vee Club Room on the west side of the square. I am going to start mentioning that since Christmas Day and New Year's Day this year are on Tuesdays, that we are not going to be having meetings on those days. So you can, when you're having your family festivities, if you'd like to have fun with table topics with your family and your friends and your neighbors, you can feel free to do that just to help get you over so we meet again. So our next meeting after the 18th is going to be the 8th of January. So start thinking of that. I think at this point we'll just go ahead and get started. But first I want to just ask our guest.
Sorry.
That was a way to get introduced, for sure.
Mute yourself up.
Yeah. So Colton, if you could just tell us, tell us your name and what brought you here to Toastmasters tonight. Someone mentioned it or like that.
My name's Colton, and someone invited me actually,
Okay.
and
And who was that?
Prana.
Yes, Prana,
Prana.
such a good inviter. Yes, very good. Okay, good. And so what do you think you might want to be getting from Toastmasters? You're just here to check it out and see what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, very good. Well, let's welcome Colton. We do a lot of clapping, so it actually makes you feel good. It warms your hands. It helps the person up here feel better when they're up here in front. So just feel free to follow along.
Okay.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our Toastmaster for the evening, Mr. Dan Craig.
Fellow Toastmasters, our first order of business tonight is going to be to get the initial reports from the various role players. First, let's hear from our timer, Carmen Anticona, who's going to tell us about her role.
Red at 7. For evaluations are 3 minutes. The green light is at 2 minutes. The yellow light is at 2 minutes and a half. And the red light is at 3 minutes. That's it.
Thank you, Carmen. Now let's hear from our grammarian, Beta Royale. Beta, would you stand over there? The camera can't
Oh, I
follow
can't go
you.
back to the,
Yeah.
you can't look at the word, okay.
Yeah.
This evening, I'll be the grammarian. I'll be watching for, or listening for, word usage, grammatical usage, and colorful usage of the English language. In addition, I'll be introducing a word of the day, but before I do the word of the day, I'd just like to mention another word that I'll be using in my introduction. It's the word etymology. I thought of something about insects, but I think that's entomology. Etymology is the study of the English language or word usage and its history. The word of the day I'll be using, however, today is omnipresent, literally meaning present everywhere. But a more common use is widely encountered. A sentence, therefore, that doesn't talk about God, which is the usual usage of present everywhere. In widely encountered, you could say the news of the politics of the president, namely Trump, has been omnipresent ever since he started running for president. Thank you for that kind introduction of myself, and I will be passing it on.
Let me give a report. Okay.
Let's hear from our awe counter, Jean Symington Craig.
Thank you. As the odd counter, my job is to count filler words that we use when we're uncomfortable with having a space or a pause. Words like like, you know, so, but, and meaning that you run your sentences on and, we don't want to see that. Tongue clicks, if you have funny little noises you make. Now is another one. Right is a popular one sometimes in this room. False starts, where you start and then continue. It's a double dribble. And any other customized filler words that I see. So the goal here is 0 rather than getting a high score. And I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Jean. Jean is also going to be our general evaluator tonight. It'll almost feel as if she were omnipresent in the meeting, I believe.
All right.
We're also going to hear later from Peter Armstrong, who's going to be giving us a joke. That's our role players. It's now time to begin with our prepared speech for the evening. That's going to be by Hudaifa. His evaluator is Veda. So let me invite Veda up to introduce Hudaifa.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. This evening on our journey of speeches, we are hearing for the 3rd week in a row from our star speaker, Hudaifa Shatnawi, who's becoming polished in the art of speaking and is improving vastly his English language because he's a software engineer and at MUM, he's a father of 2 children. He moved here from Jordan, where he spoke, I guess, Arabic, and he only moved here 5 years ago. So I've seen tremendous progress in only 5 years with his English. He spends his spare time doing calligraphy and research about genealogy and etymology. His speech tonight is a speech that involves researching a subject that he did not know about and presenting new information. The title of the speech is How Old Are You? Hudaifa Shatnawi, how old are you?
How old are you? How old are you? Anyone will answer?
19.
Okay. 19. This is not for women. Sorry
Not
for
for
that.
women?
Yeah, not
You
for
don't
women.
have to, you get a free ride.
Yeah, you don't have to answer.
65.
Okay. Fellow Toastmasters, our honored guests, and viewers at home. Usually we hear this question. Someone asks, how old are you? I would answer 37. What does that mean? The Earth went 37 times around the sun. Okay, but what is the relation between the Earth going around the sun and my age? Someone else, maybe they use lunar calendar, he will say, no, I'm counting. The moon went 38 times around the Earth. Okay, but still there is a moon or a planet goes around the sun or a star in a galaxy in this big universe. What is the relation between our ages and these things? And why we consider that the start point is... I'm done. 5 minutes?
5
It's
minutes.
green at 5 minutes.
Oh, it's green, not 5. Yeah, 5 minutes, yeah.
Sorry. Okay. We consider that the start point is when we are delivered. Okay, let's think about the definition. There is more than one definition of age. We can go with psychological age, means our mental feelings, perceptions. So if someone has brain death, he's died, right? And there is a social age, how the community see you. They see you young while you're still a student and go and you have exam and you study, and they will see you older once you get married, and they will see you older and older once you have children. Even if you're still 16, 18 years, you're a father or a mother, and you're old. And there is the biological age, which is what we use usually. Our body contains systems. Each system contains organs, and each organ contains tissues, and each tissue contains cells. Okay, so we count ages of all these cells, and then we say, my age is... We have more than 200 types of cells in our bodies. Some of them, they live with us all the time until after we die. Like our nervous muscles and our nervous cells and structural muscles. Some of them, they live less. Our skeleton changed or renewed every 10 years, almost every 10 years. 1% of our hearts renewed every year. Our liver renewed completely every 18 months. Our red blood cells renewed every 4 months. Our skin cells renewed every month. And then our stomach or cells lining our stomachs, they renewed every 5 days. So if someone asks you, how old are you? You say, okay, my liver is still about a year, and I have brand new skins, but this arm is older than that. And by the way, someone donated his heart to me, and this heart actually is 40 years old. Actually, it's older than me. And all these cells, before they die, they divide and they produce new cells. So if we cannot count the age of our cells after we die, as people say, die, if my part of one of my body parts is living with someone else, And if we return back, we actually were 2 cells from our parents. And these 2 cells, they started dividing. And these 2 cells, actually, they come from their parents, etc. So how can we calculate our ages? So let's see what is the difference between alive and a died. It's the soul. So, in my opinion, to calculate your age or to answer this question, it's from the moment the soul is born in our bodies until the soul leaves our bodies. And every life matters. Before the birth, still alive. And after the brain death, it's still alive. Thank you very much.
Let's take 2 minutes now to write an evaluation of Hy-Vee's talk. Now it's time for us to hear from our evaluator. I guess first we'll ask our timer. Madam Timer, how did the speaker do? Did he qualify? Did he stay under 7.5 minutes?
Yes, Hy-Vee qualifies
Okay,
with 6:38 seconds.
very good. Mr. Evaluator Veda, are you ready to jump on up here and
10 seconds?
give it a go? Sure. Anybody want to give a preliminary joke?
Well, then I'd be stealing my thunder for later.
There is a new way actually to tell a joke.
You get the computer to do it?
No.
We'll wait for you when
Okay.
you're the joke master.
Hey Google,
That's
tell us a joke.
What do you call a can opener that doesn't work? A can't opener.
That's wonderful. I wish I'd thought of that one. Let's welcome Veda up. Here's the
We have
evaluation.
now automated the Toastmaster, the joke master's job.
We're forever indebted. This is going to shorten up our meetings and let us operate with less people, which we need to do if we don't soon get a few more members, especially in this deep, dark winter. Good evening, Toastmasters, guests at home, and especially Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee did not disappoint us in this speech. He took a very simple assignment from the New Pathways program, and he made it more sophisticated just by the way he approached the project. You could tell he had researched the project. He gave us a lot of interesting information, and he made it humorous. He excelled at the things that he's been practicing all along, the gestures, the staging. He built to a crescendo. He had vocal variety, and he used excellent English. In terms of the evaluation, it asks us whether or not the member presented a well-organized, well-delivered speech, and I believe overall it was. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style, and it combined those styles, which was really wonderful. Now, this project is not a report, and he didn't give us a report, but he gave us great information. You may want to work on the speech structure, where in addition to giving a speech, which seemed like mostly body, you take time to write an additional introduction saying something about what you'll be speaking about. And at the conclusion, you take the time to have a prepared extra little sentence summarizing what you've been talking about in some way, not just ending with a punchy question like you did. If you'd like to do something different to challenge yourself, I would say perfect your English by recording your speeches in advance and allowing someone else, another Toastmaster, to listen to them. There was a few things you tripped over, but it was a huge improvement over your speech 2 times ago. So congratulations, Hudaifa. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Veda. Now we're going to move on to table topics. Our table topics master tonight is Dee Stauffer. Let's welcome Dee to lead that section.
Thank you. So table topics are short, impromptu speeches of 1 to 2 minutes, I believe. Is that right? 1 to 2 minutes, of which there is usually a common theme for these speeches. Often there is a common theme. And so I have these laid out here. Or I'll just set them down here and people can come up and take one that it's on the back of this paper. So, I have a volunteer. Yes. Pick a card, pick a card. That one there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Want to read it to me?
What have you done lately worth remembering? You can read it again. Yeah. Go ahead.
So before you start timing, in case one of our guests come, you know, we have a way of doing this, which is you have up to 30 seconds before you start talking, in case, Colton, you want to come up and try this, to organize and put your thoughts together. And then the green light goes on at 1 minute, and that's what you really want to shoot for, to at least get a green light. Carmen, you want to get that light on? And then at 1.5, it's yellow, and at red, it's 2, and then you have 30 seconds after that to qualify. Okay. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. I'm just going to mention something that I thought was really funny that happened to me last night. I'm remembering really short term. It's something worth remembering because it makes me laugh even still thinking about it. I was at our kitchen table at our house, and I was eating my late night popcorn. Popcorn that has olive oil drizzled all over it and salt. If you haven't tried olive oil on popcorn, and I know you have, it's really great. So I was eating my popcorn, I was reading my book, and I looked over. We have our 2 dogs. I'm eating here. We have our 2 dogs sitting on a cushion. They each have their own little cushion. And the one dog really likes to finagle his way and then sleep with his head off of the cushion, like almost in a weird contorted position. And I watched him. He started out on the couch, on the cushion, and then he just kind of hunched himself over so that his head could drop way down to the floor. I thought it was so interesting and funny. I went and I got my camera and I sat down and I took a picture. I aimed it at him. He's quiet. I'm trying to be really quiet. I click the camera, the flash goes off. The other dog is looking there with these demon eyes, like, what are you doing? It's, you know, it's the middle of the night or it's late. And Dan, meanwhile, chooses just that moment to come out and do something in the kitchen. So it was just, dogs are all excited. I'm sitting there having taken the picture, and the one dog that has the demon eyes, I just thought was so funny looking, because he was saying, look, we're trying to sleep here. This is like Grand Central Station. What are you doing? I thought about that today. I looked at that picture again. You almost had to have been there, but I still think it's really, really funny looking. And that's what I'm remembering today. Thank you.
Thank you. Volunteer? Peter. come on up. Pick a card, pick a card. What makes you smile?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. I am a person who likes to smile, and I'm practicing becoming one of those people who always has just a little smile. I like people who are always smiling just a little bit, because it's a good frame of mind to be in. And it hasn't really been my habit to do that through most of my life. There have been times when I've been a real frowny face. And so it's a habit that I'm developing. Like Jean, animals can be a good source. I have found that animals are a good source of a smile. I can be standing in my backyard in the summertime, and you've all probably had run-ins with a squirrel, for example, who, when he's on the ground, makes no noise whatsoever. But let him get up on a tree branch, and he'll cuss me up one side and down the other side for what I don't know. Makes me smile. You know, I have no idea what he's so worked up about, but I think many of us have had that experience. Children are another rich source. Very easy way to get a smile. So either of those things really works. And I am working on finding things that don't even have to happen, just thoughts, I think, to form habits. The habit of looking at the world through smiley glasses. Thank you.
Volunteer? Veda? Veda?
The green shirt.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Pick a card. Do you think crying is a sign of strength or weakness? And give an example.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master, for that brilliant topic. I think about crying often. I think about crying almost every day. I have developed on Facebook a special group that's all about crying. And that group, a few people have objected to, saying, I don't want to cry. Please take me off your group. It's too much. The world is bleak and I don't want to cry. But the purpose of the group is actually to post touching videos. And my test as to whether or not to post on this group is, did that video actually make me cry? Did I have to get a tissue out? Did I have to get a box of tissues out? Often I do. Maybe one or more tissues are used up every day in reviewing these videos. And I have a few other people who participate in the videos, and they give excellent examples of humanity. So I don't think that crying is a sign of weakness. I think that crying is a sign of emotional connection. I can remember when I was 10 years old going to my grandfather's funeral and wondering why no one cried. No one. And I only saw my father cry once, and I never saw my mother cry. So today I can say I have exercised my deepest desire to become more emotionally connected, and I think that is a sign of the greatest strength. Mr. Topic Master.
Another volunteer?
Unless you want to go first.
Pick a card.
Do you want to read?
If you had to teach someone something, what would you teach?
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, visitors at home. If I had to teach something, it would go right hand in hand with the crying thing. I spent a year in Vietnam in the Marine Corps. And while I was not, like in a war movie shooting everybody, we got shot at, but we didn't get to shoot back. But anyway, what would happen is, when everybody's very grouchy. Everybody's a badass, and everybody's grouchy. So you didn't have a lot of fun, and it was a wonderful way. The tanks and Antos and all sorts of all this stuff I loved and grew up and had the models, but you want to go over there and nobody yell at you and stuff. But what would happen is really significant is every now and then you would run into people who, what I called, they were blanks. We came back from work this one day and there were two Marines getting set up in their thing. The first one was what is sort of blank. They're there, they talk to you, they're functional, but no personality. It was gone. And the other guy was like just wonderful. I fell in love with him. He's just like run into my big brother again. Great guy. The reason they were there with us was because their entire platoon had been wiped out, over 30 of their friends, and he was the only two survivors. So periodically things like that happen, they send him back with us to help them, set us, get a little more back into their life. Mr. Blank stayed blank. The other fellow was just wonderful. They moved him to Da Nang, didn't see him much. And then they would bring these convoys up. They would escort. It was all about supplies. And one time I came back after guard duty and I said, hey, where's so-and-so? This is the two buddies. This is the blank. And he says, oh, he's dead. I said, dead? What do you mean dead? You guys didn't deny. Come on, give me a break. How did they? He said, well, he shot himself by mistake in the throat, blah, blah, blah. So, on one hand, we heard things like this whole day long. That's what happens in a war zone. But
when it happens to people you know and you kind of really have an affection for, it hits you hard. And the thing I noticed is I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was like, and I'm surrounded with all these other Marines, and they're all looking at me with the same look. It's the look you get. Suck it up. Don't lose a cure. And it was funny because I heard a pss, 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 what? And I was like, pss, pss, down here, what? Flip the switch. What are you talking flips? As a metaphor, I don't know. What? Flip a switch. And all of a sudden, I went blank. Ah, now I get it. Don't mean nothing. And I walked away. We need to cry. If you shut that side down, you're not going to have much of a life, because then you're just a walking, talking food processor, pretty much. Mr. Table Topics.
Other volunteer?
I'll do it.
Okay. We have 2 left.
I think this is our last one
Oh,
for the time.
okay. Pick a card.
Thank you.
What would you regret not doing or doing in your life? Yeah.
I don't think in 72 years I've regretted too much. I've been very fortunate in this lifetime to have worn many, many different hats. I've tried out many different professions, and I've had 80 physical moves in 72 years. That's why I tell Terry tales, because I've traveled and experienced so much. And it's always great to know that here I am at home in Fairfield with the Golden Speakers. It's like a rebirth. Who would have thought way back in 1989 when I joined Bonnie Gould in that car and we were driving down the highway on Saturday morning, and I innocently thought we were going to a hotel for a training. And as we drove by the hotel, I said, Bonnie, why aren't we stopping at the hotel? And she said, we're going to a federal prison. And I said, no way, Jose. I'm not going to go into a prison. And she said, I got security clearance for you. She said, but you mustn't use your own name. You have to indicate that you're somebody else. So we cleared our way through the security. In we went, and all of the prisoners with some guards were waiting around the periphery. And they were serving Danishes and coffee. And this big dude who looked like he was the ringleader of the pack was serving Danishes. And if you know Bonnie, she has a passion for sweets. So as soon as she'd consumed one, she wanted 3 more. So she said, you go and get the Danish. And I said, I don't think so. And she said, what name are you going to use? And I said, June Washington, my first name and my great-grandfather's second name. And lordy, lordy, as I go forward to get the Danishes, this man in a pink pullover says, welcome to the prison. And I said, oh, hello, and who are you? He said, I'm the big cheese. I said, oh, really? He said, what's your name? And I said, June Washington. And he said, I'm Odie Washington. Maybe we're related. I said, maybe you came in the Underground Railroad to Nova Scotia, where I come from. And lordy, lordy, little did I know when the priest did the blessing, and he said, now we'll ask the warden to come forward. Who was the big cheese? But Odie Washington, the warden. Mr. Toastmaster.
Dee, let's ask the timer now who qualifies,
Okay, right. So qualified?
and then we'll vote.
And we'll vote. Who's the timer?
All the votes are in. Now we're going to have the evaluation of our table topics, and tonight's evaluator is going to be Carmen. Let's welcome her. How many speakers do we have?
We are having 5 speakers.
5 speakers.
How much would you like?
3 to 4.
3 to 4 minutes? Okay.
3 to 4, that's it.
We
Okay.
think that
3
that
to
will work.
4, okay.
Who is timing?
Okay. 3 to 4.
Fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests, viewers at home. Today I had 2 tasks to do, being a timer and being a table topics evaluator. I didn't know how difficult it was.
I shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake.
It's okay. It's good to have this experience anyway. But when you are just thinking about the clock that is having seconds like this, you cannot actually put your brain on the other half of my hemisphere to just grab the best. But I do the best as I can. So for me, everyone was exceptional because being here speaking is not easy. You need to have. First of all, you need to be able to just be brave. That's my word, be brave to be here. And for Jean, you are really good at this. Good gestures, you always have funny stories to tell us. You has been years here, so you know. It was very good, I really like it. For Peter, you had a very good expression today when you were trying to smile. And it was kind of funny too, but it was good. Good style when you, yes. Veda, I like when you said that you put a cry section in your Facebook and in a group. And I never seen something like that before. But I would like to just take a look at your Facebook and see how is it about. Yeah, it's a good. How many members do you have in Facebook?
I think 365.
Oh wow, it's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, but I think about 10 to 50 people pay attention.
Terry, it was a very good story. It's always your life experience, the one that you share in table topics, which is pretty good, and it was very funny. That's all for today. Thank you.
Now let's find out which evaluators qualified. That's going to be a question for Carmen.
Beta qualifies.
Beta qualified? How did Carmen do? She qualified too, I think.
I'm qualified.
Very good. Now let's take a minute to vote. Our evaluators were Veda and Carmen. All right, we're going to move along. It's way past time to bring up the general evaluator, Jean Symington Craig, to run the rest of the meeting.
Okay, let's hear from our role players while, as we come down to the close of the meeting. So Carmen, as our timer, would you please give us the name and the time for each of the speakers?
Yes, Hudaifa for the prepared speech, it was 6 minutes 38 seconds. Table topics, Jean, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Peter, 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Veda, 2 minutes. Ron, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. And Terry, 2 minutes, 46 seconds. For the evaluators, Veda, 2 minutes, 34. And me, 2 minutes, 18 seconds.
Thank you. By the way, I made this big deal about everybody clapping. And Colton, I have to tell you, my hand is injured right now. So Colton's kind of been toning it down because he sees me toning it down. So I think. So I'm not clapping very hard, but you can see we're enthusiastic clappers, just if you want to be in the swing. Okay. And thank you for everyone for clapping like that. Next, we can hear from our grammarian, who is often omnipresent. I'm trying to think of a way to make this work. He's often omnipresent in multiple roles in any given meeting. Veda, would you please give us a report?
Thank you, Jean. This evening we all had excellent English, great usage, interesting similes, and the use of omnipresent was just used by Jean and only used one other time, I believe, by Dan towards the beginning of the meeting. Have I missed anybody's usage of omnipresent? Omnipresent was not omnipresent. Now I'm going to get to my pet peeve first. My pet peeve is the use of the word thank you at the end of a speech or at the end of table topics. If you can, if it's at the end of the table topics, for instance, say, thank you, Mr. or Madam Topic Master, and at the end of a speech, it's easy to just revert to Mr. Toastmaster or Madam Toastmaster in case someone else introduced you. Probably just thank the Toastmaster, or thank you for listening. It's still a little bit trite. Hudaifa used thank you, Jean used thank you, and Carmen used thank you. As far as the grammar, I was not able to at all evaluate Hudaifa during his speech and also evaluate his speech. So he had a lot of great English. Jean said, this is like Grand Central Station, which is great because Grand Central Station is actually still operating in New York City. Peter had a lot of very interesting words like smiling a little bit versus a real frowny face. But what I liked best was looking at the world through smiley glasses. No one spoke about my English, so I'll move on to Ron at the very end said, it would be like a walking, talking food processor. Certainly have never heard that before in my life. Terry said the big cheese was the warden. That was such a sense of awe to bring that phrase. And Carmen said, be brave. So that is my report. Madam General Evaluator.
Another thing I've heard about thank yous, saying thank yous, the way Toastmasters says, is that no, the audience should be thanking you. You've just given a presentation or wisdom or points like that, and the audience should thank you. So you are not thanking the audience. It sounds really weak also, like thank you for listening to me. Weak. Good. So thank you for bringing that up, and I am sincerely thanking you for doing that. Okay. Finally, our counter, which was me. Okay, Veda. Oh, I have Veda in here twice. I guess that makes sense. Veda had one and two ands. Run on a little bit. Hudaifa, I got one false start. there was something where you tripped a little bit and started over again, it's fine. Peter, 2 uhs or ahs, 1 you know, 1 so, 1 and 1 false start. A little bit of a start and then start again. Ron, 1 little smorgasbord here. 1 like, 2 you knows, and 1 kind of. I put kind ofs and sort ofs as filler words because I feel like they are, I think they're weak, a little bit weak, but they're also mishy-mashy or wishy-washy or something. So I tend to let you know if you're using them. Terry, 1 so, but here's the favorite, and this may be a Canadian thing. Lots of ands, sentences that run together with and. So we want periods there. And then Carmen, 3 ums. And that was it. I don't have myself, didn't get there. Probably had some. So thank you very much for that. Hat off, no evaluator hat on. And now, a moment that you've been waiting for, our joke master for the evening, Peter Armstrong. Woo! Peter, all right.
Oh, is that all right?
Oh, it's a little, you know, it's all right.
Just a little?
It's okay, no,
Good.
it's okay.
You can walk out,
I'll make it.
just not on all fours. A monk walked into a Zen pizzeria and said, "Make me one with everything." We're not done yet. The owner of the pizzeria went back into the kitchen, produced the pizza, brought it out piping hot, delivered it. The monk gave him $20. The owner put the $20 into his cash register and closed it up. And the monk said, "What about my change?" And the owner said to the monk, "Change must come from within." Bada bing. All right, one more short one. What lies at the bottom of the ocean and twitches? A nervous wreck.
Oh, good, thank you. By the way, that handshake is a really good handshake. We also emphasize firm handshakes where the webs meet in here. We don't want wimpy handshakes. I just happen to not be a good example, but Peter, that was a good example. I love that handshake.
I toned it down for you.
You did a little bit, but so Peter's, if you want to get a good handshake experience, please be sure to come up to Peter after the meeting and ask him to shake your hand. You'll have a good experience. Peter, you're up for that, aren't you?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All righty. Now it's time for the general evaluators report. We are going to have a little bit of news afterwards, so I'll make this brief. Full confession, forgot to evaluate my evaluators. I was too busy listening to them, but I'm going to just give a couple of points. Carmen and then Veda. So Carmen had, this is a 3 to 4 minute, but I'll be quick. Carmen very candidly and honestly said, I was a little bit overwhelmed having timing and also evaluation. So she did a good job on that, and I'll be easy with her. She was smiling. Carmen always smiles when she does things, and I like that. It makes you feel good. Whatever you've done, Carmen's smiling. Okay, so keep that up. She also gave specifics. Each person, she said something that indicated she had listened to that table topics. The next time, when she's not trying to do double duty, timing and evaluate, I just want to put in a suggestion for everyone. So you always want to, that's that piece that you want to make sure everyone has so that they have something to improve upon. Veda. Veda had some really good material. I liked his structural suggestions. So he gave some suggestions to Hudaifa about really saying what you're going to be talking about more clearly in the opening, and he also said something a little punchier at the end that perhaps summarizes just a little bit more to wrap it up in the conclusion. And he gave specifics to Hudaifa. One thing I would suggest, and this is just actually an alternative way of doing an evaluation, would be possibly to consider doing it third person format. So you're addressing the group and you're saying, when Hudaifa was doing this, I had the thought that he might want to try it this way. And it takes the tension off of Hudaifa, who can't really respond back. So if I'm saying, Hudaifa, I think you should have done it this way, and I didn't see these other pieces in your speech. And Hudaifa's going, yeah, they were there, but he can't say anything. And I'm sitting here giving him the hairy eyeball, and he can't do anything about it. So sometimes the third person approach can be a little easier for the speaker, and it can also be more inclusive for the rest of the audience. That's it. That's my report for the two evaluators. Thank you. I'm going to call up our Toastmaster for meeting awards, Dan Craig. Dan Craig, look at that hustle. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, President, wife. We need a drum roll, I believe. Our best table topic speaker was Veda.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Oh, that's even better. We're on camera now. Okay. And Best Evaluator was a close race. The audience took various factors into consideration. They rewarded Carmen for multitasking. Let's invite our president, Jean Symington Craig, back to the front.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, well, a jolly time was had by all. We get to use jolly in the month of December because it's very seasonal. Yes, ho, ho, ho. Wanted to mention Miss Harnish. The officers met previously to the meeting, and we have an idea, and I talked to Terry and Ron, our coach, and by the way, the form has been sent in, so I think we're good, about Terry being our special speaker in January. Have you gotten cold feet on any of that? Are you thinking?
What's the date again, Jean?
Okay, so let's just mention it's January 29th. It's a Tuesday evening, January 29th. We'll get with you, Terry, and outline what needs to happen. Our Vice President of Public Relations is out of town on business right now. She's going to be working with you on, she'll be preparing an article for our weekly reader, Fairfield Weekly Reader. Hudaifa has some skills, in particular, it's going to work on a poster for in the weekly reader. So picture, you mentioned you had some headshots. Headshots I think is what we need for that. But anyway, so first off, before we so you're still game.
Yes.
She was walking across the street, and of course she told us last week about what she had been through. So she's allowed to change her mind subsequently if she feels that, what was I saying? But at any rate, I just wanted to put this out to the members who weren't there. I think that was Veda and Carmen. We should have a motion because this is a full club event. So Terry, why don't you put your fingers in your ears and shut your eyes. Okay, shut your eyes. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we have Terry, because we tried some other people. We weren't quite filling that bill, and she's famous now.
Second.
Okay. she's famous. She's all across Canada, and she's been in the local Iowa papers and everything, and she's a professional storyteller. So, I mean, Toastmasters. Okay, so I have a second on the motion. I'm still conveying it. Okay, so then, okay. Can I just hear, oh, wait, your fingers, put your, okay, so, all right, wait, Terry, put your finger up. So when Ron does this to you, that means you can stop closing your eyes and, okay, there, we got our signals down. All right. All in favor of this? Okay. Guess you just get to sit and watch. Any opposed? No, you have to bring her out. You have to bring her out.
I thought you didn't understand my vote.
No, I want, you're the one. Okay, so Terry, you are it.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. And we'll talk further, okay? We have to just get this set up. But thank you very much for agreeing. I think it's gonna be really good. Lots of friends, you can spread that around. But January 29th is our
2
date.
days after my birthday.
Are you the 27th?
I am.
I'm the 26th.
You're kidding.
No.
We'll have a party.
Well, there we are.
Well, make it work. I have to share with you just in closing. I had a phone call tonight from Nova Scotia. She'd been talking to her best friend in Nice, France, and my story was broadcast all over France. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Wow. No, it's a very heartwarming story, and it's incredible, and we're here it's just great that you're here, period. I mean, we don't need to get into the gory details, but
The
it's.
car's still stuck.
Yeah, the car is very funny. I mean, I can see they're gonna have to bring some sort of, monster helicopter in and the thing and then lift it up.
Yeah.
The car is completely encased in mud. Alrighty.
They might want to just leave it there.
No, it's a rental from Enterprise, not Hamlin.
Yeah,
A brand new car.
they're bad luck. All right, so other than that, I think we're good. If anyone would like to go, Dan, me, and Hudaifa's going with a family unit, but Dan and I, we're going up to Washington, just half an hour away for this event on Saturday, which is a Toastmasters Leadership Institute event, breakfast burritos, speakers. It's to train the officers, but anyone can go. So it could be fun, and it's never this close to us. We always have to drive, to Cedar Rapids or Iowa City even is a benefit, or Des Moines. So just half an hour away is very good. We're gonna leave from the parking lot at where Telegroup was, up there, 185th at about 8:15.
And
So-
when will you be back?
It goes till 1 o'clock, and then we'll drive back. And we have things we want to do, so we're not going to be lingering. There is an opportunity to stay afterwards and go to lunch. It's right next to Cafe Dodici. It's an art museum. I should get your email. Are you interested possibly in going?
Possibly. I remember doing training there and saving the club when I was the area governor.
Okay. So let me get your email afterwards. I'll just forward that to you.
Thank
All right, so let me know if you'd like to go. Road trip, fun. I don't know, Veda, I invited Veda, but this thing about all the crying all the time, I'm just a little worried about including him in like a party atmosphere. Does it?
I get all my crying out, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay, so you're really, okay, all right, well, good, just wanted to check that. All right,
And
well,
he might be crying because he's happy.
Yeah, actually, that's included.
Oh.
Cry because you're happy.
so you have that kind of crying too?
Yes.
Okay, and then when you're peeling onions, you have that kind of crying too?
No, because it's on the internet. They haven't developed that one yet.
Oh, okay, and before we go, I just want to ask Colton. I know, yep, spotlight on you. Woo. Colton, maybe you could just tell us one thing that you liked about this meeting. We're always curious to hear from our guests.
It was fun.
Okay, can you tell us anything specific that popped out?
The improv
Okay,
was neat.
all right, table topics. People like that one a lot. Because it's like you stand there and you don't know what's gonna be pitched to you. Very good. Well, thank you, Colton, for coming. You're welcome to come again. I see Prana's here, and we know Prana brought you over, so Prana is a good person
It's
to.
my duty in this world to bring
Yeah.
members to Toastmasters.
Yeah, so Prana is he's been a long time Toastmaster. You can check in with him. But you're free to come back and be a guest and decide if you want to become involved.
Okay.
All right. All right, with that, meeting is adjourned. Yes, thank you, and meeting is adjourned. Let's please help put things together, and we'll see you next week.